Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kusama Demo Day, our final presentation of the conference with Alexei, Zamyatin, talking about Kintsugi radically opening Bitcoin for Kusama. You know, we can't forget about Bitcoin, so I'm really excited to see how Bitcoin integrates into this. It was great hearing from Interlay earlier on the other panel before. Hopefully you caught that. Welcome, Alexei.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great.
I have a very strong echo.
No worries, I'll make sure my microphone's muted. I'll give you the stage. I see your presentation's working, so go ahead. And any questions, we can talk after.
All right, cool. I still have an echo, I'm not sure what's happening, but I'll just turn off the sound on my side. So hi, I'm Alexei. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Interlay, and yeah, thanks for having me. I'm going to talk about Kintsugi today, our Canary network on Kusama. So what's happening? We are bringing radically open Bitcoin to the Kusama network. We have opened a crowd loan. We have announced the token economy of Kintsugi, and we're now running for a parachain slot. And today I'm going to give an introduction of one, how this works, why this is the best Bitcoin for DeFi, and what else you will be able to do with Kintsugi and why this is really a decentralized solution. Now, before we dive in, what's our vision as a group, as a team? We want to realize the full potential of decentralized finance, and we want to allow users to access any asset on any chain. So essentially, just like with banks, when you go to a bank, you really don't care what they're using in the background. And this is exactly what we're trying to do at Interlay for blockchains. You should only care about the DeFi app, but you should not worry on which chain it is and whether you're getting Bitcoin from the Bitcoin blockchain and going through all these complex things. You should just be able to move it to an application and use it. We're starting with Bitcoin because, well, it's $1 trillion market. It's dominated by centralized exchanges. And, well, I mean, we need Bitcoin liquidity to bootstrap the Kusama and Polkadot ecosystems. So our mission is to enable everyone to invest, earn, and pay with BTC on any chain directly from their wallet. And we're starting with Kusama and Polkadot. And from there, we'll go to all other chains. Now, some background about us. We started in academia. I've been doing research on blockchain, on Bitcoin specifically, since 2015. We've published over 30 papers, which have by now been cited over 1,000 times. And we designed the Xcoin protocol, the first protocol that allows us to move Bitcoin and other digital currency assets, so Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, to DeFi platforms like Polkadot, Ethereum, Cosmos, and so on in a fully trustless manner. So we founded Interlay in 2019 to go ahead and build this as a company and as a business. So Interlay Limited is a UK company. We also have named companies that work together with us. And what we did basically is we got 2 or 3 foundation grants to implement the BTC bridge. We've been quite effective in doing so. We've got the bridge live. You can go ahead and test it now. And what's happening next? Well, we're going live on Kusama with our Canary network, Kinstugi BTC. And from there on, basically, we'll integrate with Karura, Shiden, Moonriver, Basilisk, and all other cool applications that are going live. And then the outlook, well, after that, we'll go live on Polkadot. And as maybe some of you heard, we're already kind of building support for Cosmos. We'll have interBTC moving also to Ethereum and other ecosystems, which basically means that Kintsugi and interBTC, they will live on Polkadot, and this will be the hub. But because Polkadot is built to be interoperable, anybody will be able to interact with Bitcoin in a fully decentralized manner. Now, just to highlight, Kintsugi is, again, it's the Canary network of interBTC. And in the following, I'll give a deep dive of how this actually works. So interBTC, or Kintsugi BTC, KBTC, it's a one-to-one Bitcoin-backed asset. What does this mean? To mint KBTC on Kusama, you lock your BTC with a vault. You can pick one that exists, that is registered in the network, or you just run your own. And the cool thing is that each vault provides collateral. In different assets, it's built similar to MakerDAO's collateral system. So it's multi-collateral. And essentially, you as a user know that even though the vault is basically holding the BTC temporarily, it will never steal them because it has collateral locked. And if it does misbehave, the collateral will be slashed, and the system will rebalance, and you as a user, you'll never face financial damage. And that's the guarantee that we build into the system. So once you get interBTC or KBTC, you get it at a 1-to-1 ratio to the BTC you locked. And then you can go ahead and use Bitcoin DeFi in the Kusama and Polkadot ecosystems. So you can, for example, you can use KBTC as collateral to mint KUSD. You can put it in different pools into lending. You can also use it on all new cool DeFi applications that are going live on Moonriver, in dApps on Shiden, and so on. And once you're done using KBTC, well, and you say you want to go back to Bitcoin, you can redeem it anytime, and it's fully trustless, and you basically know you can always get your Bitcoin back. So what is KBTC or Kintsugi at the core? It's a simple application, but it's run by a network of vaults and Bitcoin LPs. So while it looks simple in the front, there's a whole network behind it that works together, and everyone has their own incentives, and they're all aligned to make sure that Bitcoin is live on Kusama. Now, I see people asking if it's like WBTC on Ethereum. No, that is not the case, and I'll come to that in a second. Now, and I think this summarizes the big difference to centralized wrapped Bitcoin solutions. Why is interBTC and Kintsugi better than the centralized wrapped asset? Well, one, it's secured by insurance. Because vaults lock up their collateral on the parachain in different collateral assets that make sure that the exchange rates are stable, you are guaranteed as a user that you will either always get interBTC or KBTC back for Bitcoin. So you can always redeem that for BTC and you'll get real Bitcoin on the Bitcoin chain, or you will be reimbursed in collateral at a beneficial rate. So in the worst case scenario, you'll basically make a profit because you'll be reimbursed at 110% collateralization rates, and you can then decide what to do with that. You can always then go back and buy Bitcoin, and you still actually have a profit. And that's the guarantee that the system gives you. And as a result, you only trust that Bitcoin and Polkadot are secure. Secondly, it's radically open. This means, one, there's a centralized governance from day one, run by the community, and I'll come to that in a second. Anyone can become a vault or a relayer. So you basically, if you don't want to trust anyone, you just spin up your own vault and you're good to go. And the system is censorship resistant. So no vaults can actually prevent you from minting KBTC, right? They register in the system and that's it, but they have absolutely no way to intervene and prevent you from using the system. And last but not least, the system is built to be secure. It's audited by leading industry security companies. We're also looking into formal verification. It's based on a top-tier peer-reviewed Exclam paper. This is something that, as mentioned, I invented during my PhD, and then we decided to build Interlay upon this as a company. And it's been assessed by the community. We've presented this first at Scaling Bitcoin, at other Ethereum events. Quite a few people have looked at this, scrutinized, tested, and they came to the conclusion that it actually is a good solution. And we have received grants from the Web3 Foundation and also now the Interchain Foundation, and continue working with various communities to enable decentralized Bitcoin on all platforms. Now, we are, however, a Polkadot community, and that's basically where our focus lies. The system is built as a parachain. It is built with Rust, so that means it's scalable, it's robust, and it's flexible. Building with Substrate allows us to use Bitcoin crypto libraries at the core to avoid wrap building our own crypto, right? We had some attempts of wrap Bitcoin on Ethereum that basically had issues because they were trying to rebuild Bitcoin's crypto libraries and they basically messed that up in Solidity. Well, we don't have that problem. We use Rust. We're able to basically wrap around Bitcoin and make sure that, well, if Bitcoin, the client fails, well, okay, then it will hit us as well, but we all will have other problems if that ever happens. And then, so interBTC and KB will be on Polkadot, KBTC will be on Kusama, and from there, it will go to all other ecosystems. So starting to Ethereum, because we have Ethereum bridges from Polkadot and Kusama, because we'll also be compatible with IBC, it'll be on Cosmos, and we're also looking at other major DeFi ecosystems. What does this mean? You will not only get exposure to DeFi apps on Kusama and Polkadot, but in theory, you can just move it around and do whatever you want with it. And I think this fits very much with the vision of Bitcoin. Anyone should be able to do with the BTC what they want. Now, what is KBTC and interBTC today? Well, we have a public testnet that's been tested by hundreds of users over the last couple of months. We had over 40,000 minting operations. We had 134, actually more by now, vaults registered, test the system, provide collateral and act basically as the people who secure Bitcoin. We also have basically over 100 relators. These are roles that basically similar to correlators and make sure that everything's up to date with Bitcoin. And I really recommend you to go ahead and to try bridge.interlay.io. It's really simple to use, and we're super glad to hear your feedback. We've been spending a lot of time on improving UX, and you'll see the app develop over the next months. For those of you who have seen our alpha testnet, you know what I mean. We really keep iterating over the system, making it more and more easy to use. And we'll start building and also Mint to application integration. So basically, you'll be able to pick in which app you want to mint on any chain, and you're good to go. So you don't really need to even think a lot about, minting to the parachain and then moving it around. We'll abstract that, and you'll be able to, with one click, go to any chain you want. So let's try it out. Let me see if that works. Oops. So I have my test account open, and what we can see here is basically the interBTC bridge. So this is our application. Right now it's still in the light theme. Of course, for Kintsugi, we'll have a nice fancy dark theme to fit the new brand. And basically what you can do is first of all, you see we have the application. You can enter the amount of BTC you want to mint. I'm going to enter a smaller amount right now. And you see with a bridge fee, this is just optional right now in testnet, just to make sure it's working. On mainnet, we will make sure that this is really easy for you to use. And in the beginning, we'll make sure that we incentivize people to bring Bitcoin to the system to bootstrap liquidity. Now, the security deposit, it's quite small, but for those of you who are interested in what this is, because it's a decentralized system, we need to protect the vaults. So this small deposit makes sure that if you make a lot of requests, but you never fulfill them, that vaults don't take financial damage. So basically, if you request to mint and then you actually mint, you'll get this back. But this is a cool protection to make sure that the system of vaults is not subject to denial of service attacks. So we'll confirm, and we'll hopefully sign this transaction. Oops. And there we go. So what happens in the background now is one vault is selected that can fulfill my request, and then we use some pretty cool crypto to generate a deposit address. So what we do basically is we have the vault's Bitcoin public key, and from that we derive a unique address for you to deposit. Why is this cool? Because it's super secure, because this is now your dedicated Bitcoin address that only you will get to deposit. So hence, it's super easy to use. Now, let me see if my Bitcoin testnet wallet is synced up, and I will now make this payment. And I'm scanning it with my mobile wallet. So what does this mean? We support basically all wallets out of the box. You can use hardware wallets and so on. And it's super easy to use. Now we'll basically say, well, I've made the payment, and we will come to this screen. Now what is happening in the background is the Bitcoin testnet transaction is being submitted to the testnet. And what our system will do shortly is it will pick it up for you, and you will see the transaction right here. Now, basically what will happen next is you will have to wait for Bitcoin confirmations. What this means is you'll have to wait for a few blocks until we are sure, and the system is sure, that your transaction was actually included in Bitcoin. We have additional confirmations that we wait on the parachain to really prevent race conditions. So this is super secure, and you'll know that if you made the payment, the system will pick this up, and we will submit this cryptographic proof that you have made the Bitcoin transaction will go directly onto the parachain. You can also do this manually, but of course it's a bit tedious. So our UI allows you to automate this. So what actually happened? How do we know on the parachain that you've made the Bitcoin transaction? Well, what we do is we have a Bitcoin Lite client built into the Kintsugi and interBTC parachains. What does this mean? Our parachain is always up to date with the latest state of BTC, and hence we can always check that your transaction is cryptographically included in Bitcoin. So basically what we've built is what you have on your phone, what you have on your mobile wallet, just directly on chain, and this component is called the BTC relay. Now, because Bitcoin testing sometimes is a bit slow to act up, we're going to just skip this, and I'm going to show you a few examples of transactions I've made before. So we can take a look here, and basically, if my transaction has passed, my proof has been included, I will have minted KBTC. In this case, we have interBTC because this is a tested app, and you can verify this in the Block Explorer, for example. So on Bitcoin, and basically we can see, yes, we have the transaction made and we've deposited to our unique BTC address. So you can always cross-verify your transactions that everything has worked out as it should. Let me just go back. Right, so then next I can go ahead and I can basically say, well, you know what? I want to check what's going on. So we have the dashboard here. We see all the vaults. Right now, we've just restarted the system, so there's 9. And then we'll have pretty much more just spinning up over the next few hours and days. And yeah, you can always check that the system is up to date, that it is stable. And if we want to go back, we can then redeem our KBTC or interBTC for real Bitcoin. Now, what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to enter my Bitcoin address. I'm going to confirm and again, sign the transaction. And there we go. And that's basically it. You've just minted, and we have redeemed fully decentralized, trustless Bitcoin onto the Kusama/Polkadot ecosystems. And this will basically appear in your wallet once the vault picks it up. So what the vault basically does, it will pick up this transaction, and the system will tell the vault, okay, you now have to return this BTC to the user. Now, it does not matter which vault I minted with and which vault I'm redeeming with. It's absolutely not a problem. You can basically do minting and redeeming with 2 different vaults and it will still work. You actually don't have to care about that because it's all pooled. If a vault does not do that, what will happen is you get the choice. Do you want to retry, or do you want to slash that vault and take its collateral? And basically, you get the option to exchange your wrapped Bitcoin for the collateral assets at a beneficial rate. So you get to do an arbitrage trade. So the vaults are always incentivized to behave correctly, otherwise they lose money. And if the system, for example, we've showcased here, if ever, for example, a vault tries to steal or there is a system imbalance, you get the opportunity to execute a so-called burn event. This means right now we have more wrapped interBTC or KBTC than we have physically locked Bitcoin. So what you can do now, and arbitrage traders can do, you can burn KBTC or interBTC assets for collateral assets at a profitable rate. So basically, we expect we'll have bots running on chain and also as like off chain, basically monitoring for these events, because that's where you can actually make a lot of arbitrage profits. If a bot misbehaves, you swoop in and you take their money and you're good to go. Now, let's then go back to the presentation. I believe we left off here. So, what are the technical highlights that I would like to share before we move on? So as mentioned, we have built a multi-collateral system. Now this is new, this has been added in the last 2 months. And what this means is basically we built a make your DAI collateral system. So you can put in different collaterals, not only KSM, but also DOT, Ether, stable coins, or the coolest thing is you can put in interest earning assets like LKSM. What does this mean? You as a vault can basically, if you have KSM, you mint LKSM through a Karura, you stake that, you earn staking rewards, and then you put that as collateral into the Kintsugi system. What does that mean? You earn staking rewards, plus you earn rewards on Kintsugi, and you earn rewards on Kintsugi in Bitcoin and the Kint native token. So what happens basically, vaults are minted 30% of the entire Kint supply as rewards for maintaining the system. And secondly, collateral delegation. What does this mean? Users are able to nominate vaults. So basically, if we turn this around from a vault perspective, vaults can take up leveraged positions. So they can borrow collateral from users. Vaults are still always over collateralized. So a vault can never go below 110%. But the cool thing is, if a vault is so certain that it's going to behave correctly, it can borrow money, it can increase its potential BTC position, earn much more rewards, and it doesn't need to provide all the collateral because users can help it out, and then they share the rewards. Basically, this is like staking delegation, but it's for multi-collateral, and it's fully trustless. And this is actually something we've recently designed it, and it's going to go live in the next version. And this has not been built on any other system. So this is pretty cool. You can use this in also in multi-staking assets. And I think this will be something we'll contribute back to the community's open source as well, of course. So yeah, just sharing some cool technical highlights. So, and then last but not least, before we finish off, what's the difference between centralized and decentralized interBTC? So we see interBTC there at the bottom. I've summarized most of these points in the presentation. So it's decentralized because anyone can become a vault. It's dynamic as well because of exactly this property. We can have an indefinite number of vaults, hundreds, thousands, it doesn't matter. And we have multi-collateral support. So we have 150% over collateralization to stabilize the system, but this really depends on the collateral asset. And the cool thing is we have this leverage vault positioning, so you can achieve more decentralization, more users can help to secure the system, and more people then basically start earning rewards in the Kint native token, which again distributes governance, and we have a really decentralized system. Now, WBTC at the very top, well, it's centralized, right? We have one custodian, you trust them, which is fair enough if you want to get a quick price exposure. But if you want to have a long-term integration with, for example, a stablecoin, it's risky, right? WBTC is integrated as a collateral in MakerDAO. If WBTC, for some reason, were to lose its Bitcoin due to a bug in its wallet system, due to their funds being seized or hacked or whatever, just imagine the impact on the DeFi ecosystem right now. We're trusting a small set of custodians, and if they do something wrong, we have tens of billions of BTC that will just be gone, and wrapped Bitcoin will be backed by nothing. And you can imagine what the cascading effects will be that would impact the entire DeFi ecosystem. So we're sitting on a ticking bomb, actually. And the problem is nobody can really become one of these custodians, right? Because they have to allow you to do that, and well, they have no interest because it's their business model. And the other problem of this is, well, there is nothing to back up the value. If the Bitcoin's gone, it's gone, and WBTC will be worth nothing. So there's nothing securing this Bitcoin on the Ethereum or other chains. RenBTC promised to be a decentralized solution. I think they have potentially an interesting design that they could build, but they've not delivered this so far. Now, I don't want to go ahead and attack different projects, just highlighting what we've seen from the technical designs right now. Ren is basically more or less centralized somewhat from what I understand. The best information we have is that there's a multi-sig that is mainly controlled by the main Ren team. You cannot really become one of the people who secure this Bitcoin that's held up. There was a very interesting report by OneChain that you can look up. That they did a detailed study of the code base and also how Ren is securing its Bitcoin. And they published all their findings, which is basically what I've just summarized here. And again, there is no collateral backing up the RenBTC that is locked. So essentially, if it's gone, nothing to back up on the DeFi side, and we have a cascading effect of liquidations across the entire ecosystem. TBTC basically is a lighter version of Xclaim. So it's a move between the decentralization we have and at interBTC, but it's not quite there. The problem is that they decided to use something called threshold signatures on Bitcoin side that just were not ready. So they cannot open up their system to anyone. They have a restricted set of signatories. It's a pre-selected set of early keep holders, but that still could work in theory, but they only allow ETH as collateral and they're very strict collateralization rates. And from what we've seen, nobody really pushed the project. They had a bug 2 days after launch and it never recovered since then. And the other problem is, well, they only have one collateral asset, so they cannot allow interest earning collaterals or stablecoins like we can, which means they'll never be as capital efficient as interBTC unless they change the system. And also in the newer version, they're moving actually to a multi-sig because, well, they need to fix the capital efficiency issue. And so we kind of basically see that over the past 3-4 years, from research to now practice, we have really spent our time building what we believe is the most decentralized version of Bitcoin that you can have in DeFi, and it's built to work in decentralized finance. For example, if Karura integrates interBTC, or KBTC, they know that even if the Bitcoin were to be stolen by all vaults at the same time, we will still have collateral securing this value, which means there is no major cascading effect. There's still money there to back up the stablecoin that we'll be minting, which again means it's much more resilient, and it's basically the logical choice for DeFi projects to use, well, a decentralized version of wrapped Bitcoin. And with that, thanks a lot for listening. I'm glad to take questions. And yeah, please go ahead, test the bridge, follow us on Twitter. And last but not least, our crowd loans are open. We're running for a parachain slot. So this is now your chance to basically vote for bringing Bitcoin to the Kusama ecosystem. I'm just going to leave this summary here. The early bird bonus is running until tomorrow. And yeah, use your chance, help us out. I think we can really bring real value to the Kusama ecosystem with Bitcoin. We're working closely with quite a few of the major teams, and we'll be sharing detailed use cases of how we can improve Kusama with KBTC in the next few days. So stay tuned, and glad to take your questions. All right, so I'm not sure if I get to moderate. Okay, so I see there's a question here. What's the difference between interBTC and ChainX? So I did not enter ChainX on the previous slide because I generally think that we should be supportive in the ecosystem. We're a small still ecosystem in Polkadot and Kusama. We are still growing, and we really should work together. But if you really want to look at the technical details, I'm glad to go through these, and we'll just go back to this picture here. So to the best of my knowledge, the last time I looked at the ChainX code and basically the original white paper, ChainX used something that's between RamBTC and interBTC. So they had a multisig, kind of a federated mechanism where you basically trust the multisig. And the latest papers have been trying to keep up. What ChainX will be doing is they will have a larger multisig. They're trying to use threshold signatures now with the Bitcoin Taproot upgrade, but again, they will face the same problems as TBTC. And this means you can only have, you can have up to 15 people, maybe at most, that control all the Bitcoin that goes through the system, which again means you are, again, in this red-orange zone. So there's not much to back it up as collateral. I've read that they might use the PCX token as the collateral to secure it, which is a big risk. Now, we're generally now putting on the academic hat. As a researcher, I would generally not recommend to use your own token as collateral, which is why Kint will not be used as collateral in Kintsugi, because, well, what happens if your system breaks? The system will start deleveraging. Your token will, of course, devalue because people are panicking. And if your token is the collateral that's securing the system, you will just go into a deleveraging spiral and the entire system will crash. This is why we have a multi-collateral system, to make sure that the risk models of the collateral are different from our token and the system itself. This is why you want to use stable coins, different assets like Ether and USDC and DAI and KUSD and so on. So I think that summarizes it. So nothing, to the best of my knowledge, ChainX operates somewhere between RamBTC and TBTC, more in this red-orangish zone. And I know that they were thinking of building Xclaim. I don't think they've decided to do that in the end. But that's all I know from looking at the latest designs. But again, do your own research. Please do check what they're doing. I do think we should always, we should all stick together in this ecosystem because, well, we have other ecosystems, other chains to compete with outside of Polkadot and Kusama. You don't need any Kint right now to run a collator. Collators for us are relayers. So basically, their main job is not as security critical. And what we're looking to do is actually merge the collator role with the vault. So basically, vaults, if they want to, can spin up collators, then there might be additional Kint rewards if you help us basically connect to the relay chain. But you don't really need to bond Kint at the moment. This is, again, subject for governance to decide, depending on how active the collator set is. Last question that I see is, are you planning to use the same token across Kusama and Polkadot like Kilt is doing? No. The reason is, well, we've split up the tokens. So there's Kint for Kusama because it is its own ecosystem. It will have its own governance. It's meant to be a Canary network. But by design, we will have two chains, right? You'll have a chain on Kusama and a chain on Polkadot. This means to participate in votes, if it were the same token, you'd always have to move it between the two chains. And well, nobody's going to do that. It's just inconvenient. And also how our governance mechanism works, we have a very similar model to Curve. To participate, You lock up your tokens for a predefined amount of time. You choose that. And the longer you lock them up, the more voting power you have. Why is this good? Well, you have a stake in the system for at least a few weeks or maybe even a year or longer when you make a vote. And we will reward you for that. So we have 5% of the token supply will go to this staking to vote mechanism. So you participate in governance, you will be rewarded. Sorry, my voice is giving up. All right, I hope I answered all the questions right as my voice started giving up. Well, the last one is,
perfect timing.
Aiming to planning a Polkadot parachain? Yes. Once Kintsugi is live, we will then, of course, test, experiment, add new features. But the goal is and has always been also to then deploy a Polkadot parachain. The model will face a similar token model as Kintsugi, just with a larger supply, following the Kusama to Polkadot kind of market caps, and they will be combinable. You will be able to combine them, and there will be some interesting interactions between the two systems. But Kintsugi will always be the crazy system. We'll experiment with synthetics, with new versions of technology, and so on. All right, I think I'm really overrunning here, so thanks a lot for the questions. And yeah, please join our Telegram and Discord, and I'm glad to answer more questions there.
Great, thanks so much, Alexei. Yeah, great presentation. The platform looks, I'm super interested to dive into it more. Another announcement that you guys have your crowd loan live right now, and great detail on the questions from the audience as well. So thank you so much. Amazing. I'm looking forward to diving into Kintsugi and into the Polkadot expansion when you do. And I really appreciate you and your team really going on as well to participate in the demo day.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody, that concludes the Kusama Demo Day. So many great projects we spoke to today. Everybody from Interlay here to Centrifuge to S-Star to the guys from Polkadot and the guys from Kusama, and of course Equilibrium and Genshiro and the other projects as well. I wanted to remind you that Alex mentioned at the beginning that the closed beta is live right now on Equilibrium and on Genshiro. It's possible to get up to 5% bonus if you go and register today. I think in the next 24 hours it runs out. And as well, the Genshiro crowd loan is launched right now, and you can also contribute to that and through depositing KSM and other projects that came on the show today, if something sparked your interest. Thank you so much to the audience that stayed throughout the entire conference. That was super exciting. And yeah, great mixture of panelists plus presentations. And there will be a bunch of links in the chat box for the registration to get the bonus on Genshiro, as well as for the crowd loan. And you can always go to KusamaDemoDay.com and see the speakers that spoke and what they were speaking about. And this conference will be available to rewatch as well if you want to rewatch any of the panelists and share it with your friends so that you can shill your bags once you get invested in these projects that are doing great things in the industry. And I think they're really taking blockchain and DeFi to the next level. So thank you so much, everybody. And with that said, we will see you guys later.